Alright, what's up? Arts here, and welcome to a new Black Ops 3 video. In fact, welcome to a new Black Ops 3 Best Class set video. And of course, as you can tell by the title, in this one, we're gonna take a look at the FFAR, aka the Famas. Now, of course, for those who don't know this yet, I think this weapon dropped, I wanna say the day before yesterday. Could have been yesterday, not entirely sure about that. Simply correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, I was able to get my hands on this gun earlier today. I've been using it ever since. And I think I put together a pretty deadly setup, so I wanted to share that one with you. Now, of course, as always, first we're going to take a look at the attachments, then the perks, and then finally the square streak setup. So that being said, let's get to it. Now, for starters, I want to say the FFAR is actually pretty similar to the HVK30, meaning that this gun does have a pretty considerable fire rate for an assault rifle, but it is not too great at long range. So keep it in mind, try to stick to those close to medium range engagements, and in that case, you should be good to go. Anyway, so first off, we have Quick Draw, which simply allows you to zoom in a little bit faster, making this gun a bit more deadly and a bit more consistent at close range. Obviously, in Call of Duty, the average kill time is about 200 to 300 milliseconds, so being able to hit your opponent before he hits you is crucial if you wish to win a lot of gunfights. Next up, we have the grip. Like I said before, this one is pretty similar to HVK30, however, it has even more recoil than that one, so obviously the grip is a must. The grip simply reduces your recoil by a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, it's either 6 or 9%. Simply correct me if I'm wrong. I actually have been binge watching in-depth videos this year, so I don't know the exact numbers, but it's somewhere along those lines, and that basically makes this gun a bit more easy to handle at medium to long range. And then finally, we have Fastmax. Now, I actually don't really remember what the Famas was like back in Black Ops 1. Of course, it was my most used weapon, and it was easily my favorite gun as well. But I don't really remember the reload speed. However, in Black Ops 3, the reload speed is incredibly slow. And obviously, that doesn't go very well with a weapon that has a really high fire rate, especially for an assault rifle. So I'd say either go with Fast Max or, of course, Extended Max, and in that case, you should be good to go. If you want to, you can use both, but I would definitely recommend you to use either one, because otherwise, you're going to get yourself killed pretty often whilst reloading, which is obviously not the way to go. Anyway, so next up for perk 1, we have Sixth Sense. Now, for those who don't know, Sixth Sense basically displays enemies on the minimap and on your screen whenever they're nearby. Now, like I said before, this gun shines at close to medium range, so having a perk like Sixth Sense can definitely help you out quite a bit, because this basically allows you to prepare yourself for a gunfight before it actually happens. And then the moment someone pops up in your face, you can drop them in a split second. Very useful, give it a go. Next up, we have Scavenger and also Fast Hands. Of course, Scavenger isn't necessary. Personally, I tend to use Scavenger quite a bit nowadays, just because I kind of want to use the same gun throughout the entire match. Obviously, like I said before, this gun is a high fire rate, so if you want to make sure you don't have to pick up a different gun after, I want to say, 6 to 10 kills, then I would definitely recommend you to use Scavenger. Otherwise, of course, go with Hardwired. And then next up, we have Fast Hands. Now, Fast Hands is a must. If you wish to play somewhat aggressively, Fast Hands, of course, for starters, make sure you can swap between weapons a bit faster. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that. I couldn't care less about that. I rarely use the secondary. If I do, it's either the XM53 or the Black Cell. And I only use those simply to complete camo challenges, and of course also to annoy my opponents. But Fast Hands also allows you to zoom in faster after you're done sprinting. In fact, it cuts the time that it takes you to zoom in after you're done sprinting in half, which is definitely pretty good. In fact, that is great. Be sure to give it a go if you haven't already. And then finally, we have Dead Silence. Now, Dead Silence is another perk that I tend to use very, very often. Personally, I think that it's way too easy to sound horn in Black Ops 3. You can literally hear opponents from miles away, especially if you're using awareness, and especially if you combine that with a proper headset as well. So I personally tend to run Dead Silence a lot, just to make sure my opponents can't hear me from a mile away, and just to make sure that I don't die a lot of unnecessary deaths. And then finally, for my score streaks, if I'm not mistaken, I was using the UAV, the Cerberus, and then finally the Wraith. A pretty simple yet deadly score streak setup. Of course, the UAV is my go-to score streak in every single Call of Duty. You can't go wrong with this one. Next up, you have the Cerberus. Now, of course, if you've not yet tried out the Cerberus, be sure to definitely do so. Obviously, it's not going to get you a lot of kills in a short amount of time, but it basically remains on the map for, I want to say, about 2 to 3 minutes or so. That is, of course, if people don't take it down. But in that time span, it can actually rack up quite a few kills, so that's why that one's pretty good. And then finally, we have the Wraith, aka the Stealth Chopper. You simply can't go wrong with that one. And with that being said, if you've got a pretty solid setup for the FFAR, then definitely be sure to share that one in the comments down below for us to try out. Stealth setups at this point I probably very much appreciate as well, just because people are trying to get used to this gun. And apart from that, if you enjoyed this video, some support, a like rating would be very much appreciated. If not, that's cool. If you want to, you can also follow me on Twitter, or Facebook, or Instagram. You can find all those links in the description. And then finally, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for the continued support. And I will catch you in the next one. Take it easy.